Hey guys, I'm back here on the workbench today working on stuff. I want to do a tech tip video on basically how to center and cut your vent holes in your canopies for your ESC to breathe better. Um, I just got done building this galley here and I need some more air obviously for my ESC. Um, so what I'm going to do is show you the way that I do it. To make sure that I have a nice center cut and a nice clean cut on these canopies. So first thing you want to do is when your canopy is off, you want to turn your head sideways here, or however you want to measure it, and you want to measure down to the center of your ESC where, like this hobby wing that's in this has a big fan. So I measured down basically from this link to my hobby wing fan. Alright, so that way I know exactly where my hole needs to be. Alright, so I'm not hacking a big ugly hole in the thing. Alright, so then I put the canopy back on because it's obviously easier to work with this way. Alright, so what I'm going to use here is some fine line, which is an auto body tape. First thing we're going to do is find the center of this canopy, and this fine line tape is perfect for that. Basically, let's see, you want to run right up the nose of your canopy and make sure that you're in the center. This is just a guideline. Alright, so now as long as you're centered where you need to cut, you're good. Alright, so we can take this fine line off. Alright, now I want to do a measurement here, which I measured that my fan on my ESC is 7 inches down from this link, right? So I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to measure 7 inches down from this link, alright, and just put a little dot there. There we go. So now I know where I have to cut, right? I could feel where it is, but I wanted to measure to make sure that I'm right. And that's right. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to take a piece of 2-inch 3M painter's tape, all right? And I got a piece of wax paper here that I'm gonna work with. All right. So I'm going to basically put my painter's tape, whoops, on the wax paper. I'm hoping that the camera can see this from this angle, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the center of this. I'm going to make a mark in the center here, in the center here, and I'm just going to draw a straight line through it. That way I have a center mark for where I'm going to cut. Now, I like to do almost like a big, kind of, I guess you could say triangle, a long triangle for the way I cut my canopies. So what I do here is I fold this guy in half. And the reason I'm doing this is so I make sure it's uniform when I cut it, so I don't have some lopsided mess that I have to try to fix with my Dremel. It's basically just to do it right. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to mark this out on basically a half of a triangle, which that's what I'm looking to do here. So we don't need to make a giant hole, but we just need to make an air hole. So basically I start, draw a line, draw another line, and then what I'll do is I'll cut this out and make sure that this is all together when you do this. now we have something that we can work with, which is a nice, perfect triangle. Alright, so I used this wax paper, that way it didn't stick to this and steal all the sticky off of it. So now I can center my hole here, right? I can center this here, put this down. And basically now I have a template of what I'm going to actually cut. And I know it's right, and I know it's centered. And that way I'm not hacking away when I go out to the garage and try to do this. And now what I do is I just take my Sharpie and I run it along the line here. Alright, so now basically I can take all this off because I know what I'm going to be doing. And basically now I have a nice centered piece that I can work with, that I don't have to guess so much when it goes to cutting. Now I am filming this by myself today, so I obviously don't have any help filming this. So what I'll do is I'll take you out to the garage real quick with me and I'll go show you what I use to cut this. But basically when I start to cut, I actually make a straight cut here, right? Instead of going back and forth with my Dremel, I just drop it straight down so I get a nice straight cut and stop it on these edges. And then basically I will start close to maybe here and work my way out and then work my way back down, and I'll end up with a nice piece. I'm also going to probably blow the nose out of this thing too here. Probably just open this guy all the way up down to the bottom so I have a lot of airflow going in there. Not so much my motor. I'm not worried about the motor overheating, but definitely the ESC. So that's how you get your markup to make sure that what you're doing is actually uniform. Sure, you can hack it if you want, but I kind of like my shit to be nice and also work properly. So let's go out to the garage and we'll do some cutting. Alright, so we've made it to the garage here. What I'm going to use is my Dremel. And Dremel actually makes a whole bunch of these different ends for metal, for plastic, for all sorts of things. So I actually have the plastic end on it, alright? They're quick, oops, come on, focus. They're a quick change kind of setup and they work great. But you can only go so high on your RPMs because they're obviously not balanced for that. So the highest RPMs you can get and the thinnest wheel you can get is going to give you the best cut. Wear your safety glasses, don't get shit in your eyes. Then you won't be flying nothing except for flying down the highway to get somebody to dig something out of your eyes. Okay, so what I do is I balance this on a box, right? So that way I have something stationary, because obviously I don't want to cut this while it's on my helicopter because that'd be ridiculous. Alright, yeah, so we're going to get to cutting. I don't have any help here, so I'm just going to cut the camera, cut this out, and I'll probably dig these nose pieces out too so I can get some nice airflow in there. And I'll be back here in a second. Alright guys, so I got this nice and cut. The garage is cold, so I came back downstairs because I don't like being cold. You can see my nose holes that I cut out. I just basically open these up so I can get a little more air in there. And my, let's see. You can see that my cut is nice and straight and perfect. I did make a little mistake, and actually not with the Dremel, with my thumbnail. I nicked the paint on it trying to scratch away one of the edges. See, you can see how my edge was. Well, it was like that, only worse over here, and I nicked it with my thumbnail, but that's alright. I could touch that up, no big deal. But either way, it's a nice clean cut, and it's nice in the center. You can actually get some perfect airflow now to your ESC so your shit doesn't overheat, so you can fly it as hard as you want. And that is my tech tip for today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I just wanted to show you kind of a way to go about this and do it as right as you can so you don't hack a big nasty ugly hole canopy, because these canopies are too damn expensive to mess up. I'll see you guys on the heli hangout.